Hi, welcome to another episode of Hands On. We are fixing our farm and we are doing it ourselves. In the last episode, I introduced you to our farm, the Cantonment, and we kicked off fixing of the farm that is in a state of utter neglect. Check out the last episode if you missed it, as we also found a new part of the farm and it was really exciting. You saw that the fort is very dirty with lots of spiders, cobwebs, dust, and bullshit. As at one point there were cows inside these buildings. I started cleaning from the main room internal door until a spider jumped on me and I went to another wall but forgot to change the direction of the camera. Noob cameraman at work. After cleaning the walls and the doors and the windows, I started cleaning the floor. But the cow shit and the dirt was so thick and stuck to the floor and I did not have the right tools for it. So I thought that let me come back better prepared and also get my son along for this task. Why should he be deprived of all the fun? I decided to take a break by sitting on the patio that was for the first time accessible from the inside. But looking at all the muck that I was sitting in on the patio, I changed my mind and decided to clean the patio instead. I was quite tired already, but decided to push on. Cleaning outside meant pruning the kika tree as well, that had taken over the patio and was completely overgrown. And after that, I needed to sweep the patio, which again had a lot of bullshit on it. And since it was even damp at some places, it was heavy and it was not going to be an easy job. I anyway did not have the right tools, which ideally would have been a wide 12 to 18 inches hard bristled floor brush or maybe even a leaf blower, perhaps could work. But I wanted to collect all the bullshit that had now become manure so that I could use it in the farm later. Kika trees are very thorny, and I was ill equipped, as I've told you, tool wise, no gloves, just a plain saw with a short handle. So I bore the brunt of many thorn pricks and bruising. Anyway, I chugged along slowly and kept piling up the cuttings near the boundary wall. I think a job that should have taken me 5 minutes with a proper pruning lopper took me 30. I was learning the importance of the right tools the hard way. Anyway, with the tree out of the way, I concentrated on the patio that had a lot of leaves, cow dung, and dust. I had a metal leaf rake that I used to gather all this, since everything was damp and it was quite heavy, and I collected it in a corner for future use as manure. It was hard, back-breaking work, the kind I am not used to. My arms were aching and I kept using both my arms turn by turn. I had to take breaks in between to be able to continue. I was so tired by the end of it, and it was a peak summer day. It was hot and I was itching to stop, but I kept on going slowly. And this leaf rake kept folding, which was also annoying and adding to the irritation. Once the heavy muck and the manure was cleared, I used the broom to do the final cleaning. By this time, my arms were screaming to stop. I was purely continuing on my willpower. I was really slow and restless, had to take a break after every few minutes and resumed again. And it was the same painful story for what felt like eternity. But I was determined to clean the patio today. I took a break again, and later finally the patio was in some respectable state. And the tree was pruned and pretty, and there was a very high sense of achievement. It was time to enjoy my customary coffee. Continuing from the last visit, today I was pruning the bigger babool tree, which was in front of the patio. It was again a thorny tree, but it was a bigger tree with lots of shade. But since it had never been pruned, it had a lot of branches in the lower part that were intrusive and also blocking the view. It is a tree I want to keep in the long run. Pruning the unwanted growth will make it stronger and bigger. Babool tree also has a lot of medicinal value. You have heard about babool toothpaste, and even its bark is used for Ayurvedic and allopathic medicines. Today, while it was the same tools, I was far more efficient, as I had attached a long bamboo handle to the saw blade, improving my reach and effectiveness, and also keeping my hands away from the thorns. Today was also special as my daughter had her college break and was back home from the hostel. So she came along with me to the farm. We spent some quality time together and caught up with each other. Now that she lives in another city, such occasions are rare and I want to make the most of them. She was taking pictures with the DSLR and chasing the butterflies. It was really fun to see my butterfly chasing butterflies. Like all teens, my teenager didn't want to be on dad's camera, so she made faces and just tucked away. I have come back to the farm almost after a week. Recently, our realtor told us that at the rear end corner of the farm there is an electrical junction box which has a meter and an electric supply point. My mission for today was to locate the junction box to see what is the state of affairs as far as the electricity supply or the hope of it is concerned. That corner of the farm was really overgrown and wide, and I did locate some sort of structure at the corner, not that it was completely hidden, but just that I had never paid attention to that part of the farm. I tried to peep in and see if there was anything visible, but I couldn't see much. So the next step was to try and clear that area, not only to get a clear look at the junction box and the meter, but also try and make it accessible for the electrician to come and work on it if required. I started clearing the path to the junction box. There was a silver birch tree and a very heavy and beautiful growth of bougainvillea that was in full bloom. It was so pretty. I still did not have the perfect tools for the job, but I had to make do with whatever I had, which was my long handled saw. So I started cutting and making some headway, little by little. And soon there was some sort of opening which actually looked like a natural cave made of heavy shrubs and trees. Just like the babool and the kikar tree, bougainvillea also had a lot of thorns. Since the time I have started working on this farm, I have been pricked by so many thorns, so many times, and like one of you suggested in the comments, this farm saga could very well be called a game of thorns. It was not easy to see inside as the growth was very thick, and then I also didn't know what to expect inside. There could be snakes or wasp nests or any other creature like scorpions, etc. I had to be very cautious and careful, but I still had to push forward. A lot of this kind of work was new for me. Therefore, the inexperience combined with improper tools, even adequate protection like no gloves, no boots, etc., was making it quite tough. So, I think more than experience and technique, I was relying on my bravery and muscle power. I could at last remove a lot of the bougainvillea, and finally I saw an opening and got a glimpse of the junction box. There seemed to be a lot of provisions for connections, loose wires, etc., maybe for the borewell motor, and there was also a meter that was lying disconnected on the ground. There was no power or any reading or display on the meter, so it looked quite dead. And for now, I was quite disappointed that all this effort that I made was going to result in nothing. With a heavy heart and nearing zero optimism, I retreated for the day and decided to sleep over and come back stronger. Currently, I seem to be taking one step forward but two steps back because this meant that the electricity restoration was pushed further away. Had the electricity meter been live, it would have been a different story. Anyway, let's see what happens next. Please like, comment, and share this video with like minded people, and also subscribe if you already haven't. Check out our Instagram as well. I can promise you it's going to be an exciting ride for the foreseeable future. See you next time. Bye!